Hey guys, how's it going? So, sexuality in Korea. I look like I'm 12 years old. I look like I'm 12 years, I totally look high too. I'm not. God, I wish I was, but I'm not. Okay, sexuality. It's funny because I had quoted Margaret Cho's mother when she said there are gay people all over the world except Korea, and that is like a really good representation of how any non-conforming behavior is looked upon here. Um, but I thought I would just kind of relay a few observations that I've made about sexuality. Uh, I see a lot of affection with young boys to other young boys, and like high school students too. But um, and it's like it's affection that makes me wonder if they're gay, you know? And like one time I had a student, and this was in class, a student put his arm around another male student, which is not necessarily gay, right? But then he started to like stroke and caress his ear and tickle his hair and stuff. And I felt like it was inappropriate for me to watch. I felt like I was kind of intruding on a private, intimate moment. And I made eye contact with the boy who was showing the affection, and he didn't like back away. He didn't look abashed or ashamed or anything. Like it wasn't like a private moment that I had intruded on, but I felt like it was, you know? And I see that kind of affection with boys all the time. And I don't know, maybe ear fondling is different for Americans than Koreans. But gosh, there have been times where I'm like, that is so gay. That is so gay. Like, how can you not be gay? You know, like I was on the bus, and this one boy had another boy sit in his lap, and they were probably like 14 or 15, so a young man, I should say, and he put his arms around the boy, and then they shared a iPod or earphone connection or whatever. And they just rode on the bus for like 35 minutes that way. And there was like a seat available to him right next to him, like it was an empty seat. But he just sat on the boy's lap. And I was like, oh my God, you guys are so gay. You're like the gayest people I've ever seen, you know? And Koreans are not affectionate. At least I've not really witnessed a lot of public affection. And not with like parents and children, and not with like wives and husbands or boyfriend and girlfriend tend to be a little bit more affectionate because they're younger and maybe they still like each other before they get married, right? But on a whole, I have not seen a lot of affection other than boy on boy affection. And I didn't realize how unaffectionate Koreans were with each other until I went to China, actually. And the Chinese are super affectionate with each other, with their family members and with loved ones and their children. And it was really like kind of relieving to be around, because I didn't realize how much I had missed seeing people being affectionate with each other until I saw it. And I was like, holy cow, Koreans are so not affectionate, except for if you're like a boy, a self-proclaimed straight boy, showing affection with another self-proclaimed straight boy. It's really an interesting dichotomy to observe. And you know what else is interesting is men and boys compliment the way other men look. So I said this once, but it was in my old channel. So I was in an elevator with a businessman who spoke some English and was very excited to tell me of the places that he's traveled. And then in the middle of our conversation, he just looked at me and he's like, "You're very handsome." I was like, "Well, thank you." Like, I wanted to make sure my voice was deep and that I was making sure because obviously he thought that I was a guy. And so he was complimenting me on how handsome I am. And I was like, "Oh, thank you." Like I felt silly, but and I'll have my students write an essay about, I don't know, a singer they like, or their favorite movie and the actor and actresses that play in it. And the girls will always say they like this actress because she's pretty and she has a good voice and whatever. But the boys will always say, I like, and they'll say like a Korean name. I don't know Korean pop stars really, but and the boys will say, I like him because he's handsome and he has a good body, and the girls all like him, and he dances well, and he moves sexy. Like, they'll say, like, things like, I like him because he's sexy. And I'm like, wow, you guys are just, like, fucking with my head here. Come on. So that's been really interesting. And another aspect of sexuality in Korea that I've experienced is when I was dating Todd, my coworkers would ask me what I was doing for the weekend. If I was going up to see him, I would say, I'm going to see my boyfriend. Now, ordinarily, I would never say that. I would never, like, really promote that I was seeing my boyfriend or my girlfriend. I would have just said, I'm seeing my friend, especially at work. But because I present in a masculine way, I felt compelled, like, watch my hand gestures, I felt compelled to be, to like, emphasize my hetero, quote unquote, disposition, because I know that has been a question for some of my coworkers. And I mentioned I have a weirdo and she's seriously, you guys, she is a weirdo. She is. Like, I'm all about people being weird and strange, and I am a weirdo, okay? But she is just creepy. And this is the first time I really encountered her. I met her at school, and I introduced myself, and I went back to class, And then later that night, she came to my house, and she knocked on my door, and apparently she was living in the same apartment building I was. And I was like, oh, how did you know what my apartment number was? And she said, oh, I knocked on all of the people's doors on my floor, and I asked them if they knew where the American was living. And they eventually directed me to this floor. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, that is creepy. What the hell do you want? And then when I had mentioned that I had a boyfriend, again, like, it's something that I would never, like, promote, especially to some, but I kind of felt like I should, because I didn't know really what she came to my apartment for, And she came wearing, like, spandex shorts. It was strange. It was just a strange encounter. And so I asked her what she was doing for the weekend, and she said nothing, and then she asked what I was doing, and I said I was going to see my boyfriend, and then she was like, I thought you were a les. I was like, oh, yep, I'm not a lesbian. Like, I had no problem saying that, too, because I'm not a lesbian, right? Like, I didn't say I wasn't gay, but I'm not a lesbian. And she kept on going back to, and I was trying to, like, move the conversation elsewhere, because I don't have job protection here, and, like, I don't know what could happen if someone gets a wrong impression, and you know what I mean? Like, it's different being in the U.S. and kind of knowing how to navigate discrimination, but I don't know how to navigate that here, so I just assume not draw attention to myself. But anyway, she kept on being like, oh, I hope you're not offended that I thought you were a lesbian. And I was like, nope, I'm not offended. So how long have you been speaking English? Because she's Korean, right? Like, I'm the only foreigner in my school. And then she kept on coming back to this, like, but you have short hair. Yep, I do have short hair. And you go by Alex. And I was like, yeah, actually, everyone else calls me Alexis. But the kids have a hard time saying X and S together. That's a hard name to say. I mean, even if you're a native English speaker. So I just let them call me Alex. But actually, I kind of hate being called Alex. I hate it. Only my dad and my grandfather and my uncle. But they've called me Alex since I was just a wee one, So that's fine. But she kept on going back. But you have a boy's name and you have a boy's haircut. And I was like, yeah. But that doesn't mean I'm a lesbian. But I didn't offer what that could mean. So anyway, just, like, that was kind of strange. And I think maybe she has some lesbian loving that she needs to express or something, but not with me, because she's a weirdo. Anyway, so yeah, like, I would never promote that I was dating a guy or a girl or say anything like that at work anyway, but yeah, I kind of felt compelled to kind of push that and express some perceived normalcy, right? I don't know. And then this is funny, kind of related, but just funny. My big kids, my high school students, they're really fun, and they speak English really well. And even though none of them have have studied abroad. I've had a lot of students who've lived abroad. Like, their parents will send them to Canada for like a year and a half when they're 12 years old. I've had a number of students who've lived on their own in another country when they were 12 and 13 years old. But anyway, my big kids were talking about Dumbledore being gay, and I was like, oh, I love Dumbledore. And they were like, teacher, he wears rainbow panties. And I just was laughing. I was like, oh my goodness. And then, and I was like, Gandalf is gay too. And they're like, no, Gandalf is gay? And I said, well, Gandalf isn't actually gay, but the actor is. And my one student was like, teacher, all magicians are gay. They all have rainbow wands. And it was so fun. These kids are so damn funny. And like, anyway, so I'm going to miss them. I'm going to miss my kids. And I'm like, I'm counting down the days. I'm about to hit single digit days. So almost 9 days left, which is like no time at all. But anyway, just some observations that I thought were kind of funny. Okay, see you guys. Bye.